Hey guys, I'm Heidi with Heavenly Minded Homeschool. Welcome to my channel. Today I am answering some of your biggest questions that you have sent in about our homeschool curriculum and what we're using. So, little Q&A, we're going to answer those today. Stay tuned. All right, we're going to see if we can get through this. There is a lot of chaos going on, but that's what happens when you have 4 children. What I want to do today, don't mind the baby coughing in the background, exaggerated. You good? You done? She's crazy, you guys. What we're going to do today is I want to answer some of y'all's questions that you've asked about just our homeschool, what we're using, what we're doing, how we're putting together different things. If you guys ever have questions or things that you want to ask, please do. Whenever I make videos, I'm kind of just shooting in the dark of like things, I guess I can share this or share that. This might be helpful to someone. The whole point of having this channel is to do something that is truly serving you all. That is the purpose for this. So if there's anything that you ever want to see or know more about or get our take on or whatever, let us know and I am happy to make videos based off of that. And that's what we're going to do today, is kind of just take some of y'all's questions that you've asked, that you've messaged me on Instagram or here on YouTube, sent in an email and been like, hey, what about this? I shared with you guys, and you guys can see they're all on a playlist here for our 2020-2021 school year of just what we've been using, what we've been doing, and I have many more to still share with you all. But based off of that, I guess we'll kind of just break down these. We're going to talk about how we plan our schedule and routine using a calendar based off of the biblical holy days versus the traditional holidays. How we use Under the Home with Mom Delights and the McGuffey Readers, kind of break down and showing you guys kind of how we physically make all that happen. How to use the Hamilton Essentials of Arithmetic. That's our math curriculum, how we put that together. And then a little bit more about the Prairie Primer, which that will have kind of a whole series of its own because there's so much to go into that. I'm so excited to share it all with you all. So let's go ahead and kind of just dive into this first one here, how to plan with the biblical holy days. So I shared with you guys what we're doing, obviously, and then you guys can go to heavenlymindedhome.com and get the PDF of our free Bible curriculum and everything I kind of do in 4-week chunks. So doing that because that would work well really for anyone. You can put them together and make them be whatever you need it to be. But also for us, we do 4 weeks on, 1 week off, most always. And we started doing that because we had always kind of followed more of a traditional school schedule, kind of adjusting it a little bit because we had a business in the wedding industry. So we had certain times of the year that were just really busy business-wise. So we kind of adjusted a little bit to fit those. But pretty much we followed a regular traditional schedule. You guys can see I have a whole playlist of the biblical holy days / holidays here on my YouTube channel. So you can go watch that if you want more from this. But just kind of a nutshell to this is the more I started growing kind of spiritually and in my biblical literacy and reading into these things, the more we started kind of stepping away from kind of our traditional holidays. So especially the ones that are more like patriotic propaganda, we kind of started staying away from, 4th of July, things like that. And then Halloween was an easy one to be like, we're done. We don't want anything to do with that. And then we stopped celebrating Christmas for a few years and we just totally stopped all of that. And then the more I started reading reading God's Word and studying it, can you go wipe off your face? Mm-hmm. Bubba, will you wipe off her face, please? Go wipe off your face. It's food everywhere. Sorry. So when we stopped doing that, the more I started reading, the more I started looking at, especially in like Leviticus and stuff, and looking at these 7 biblical holy days that God himself kind of gave to his people. And what a joyous time of just celebrating and coming together they were. And so it kind of was just like a natural evolution for us to kind of walk away from the man-made holidays and kind of embrace and start partaking in these biblical holy days. So most of these are set up, like I said, you can go watch that playlist if you want more details into all of these things. We've pretty much vlogged what we've done, how we celebrate, what they mean, and stuff like that. So all of that is over there. Hello, you goose. And Most of them fall. There's basically the spring feast and the fall feast with Shavuot, which is there kind of in the middle at the beginning of summer usually. Those are the 7 biblical holy days. And it's so cool to see in scripture where they are, how they were celebrated, how they'll be fulfilled by Christ, how we'll be celebrating and enjoying these in the millennial reign when Jesus is literal, king of the world, and we all go to Jerusalem and do these things. I mean, it's just so exciting, I think, to learn about and to look at. But you have 3 in the spring, 3 in the fall, the 1 in the center. That's gross. I had gum sitting over here. So looking at those, and then there's also the 2 times of special dedication. That's with Purim and Hanukkah, and usually early spring and then early winter, those fall. The difference with those 2 as well is all of the biblical holy days go off of the lunar calendar. So they all go off based off of the cycle of the moon. So slightly different than what we're used to with kind of our traditional man-made holidays of Easter and Christmas and Thanksgiving and I don't know, whatever else it is that you celebrate. So what I do for these is every year I pull up my calendar, and then I usually go to Chabad.com and pull up the list of when the dates should all fall this year. I say should all because there are a couple little things when you get into it that these are based off of the moon sightings. That's why you see in scripture talking about, your new moon festivals and things like that. Some of these things, we have a date when it should fall based off of the lunar cycle, but there can be slight differences. So what I do, I shared with you guys all a couple weeks ago, I am using the Homeschool Adventures Planner from Airy Berry Creates on Etsy. I love it. It's perfect for us homeschool mamas. I've got mine all printed out here. I love it because it's got the dates in it, but it is open that you can then fill in whatever holidays or whatever things that you need to fill in. So what I do to start off is I got my homeschool planner for this year, and I went over to Chabad and I pulled up all of the dates, and I go through. Also with this, lunar, so things start with the sighting of the moon. So instead of our new day starting, sun up to sundown, they go from sundown to sundown over that way. So all of these things, the dates start at sundown that evening and then go to the next day. Just little differences. But I take my calendar here and I fill in. So we've got Yom Teruah starting here. I have a little sticker and I have it started. So that starts the evening of September the 18th. Then over here we have Yom Kippur. That's starting the evening of the 27th. I go into October. Here we've got Sukkot starting at the beginning here. Let's see, we've got Purim here in February, and then we come into March. We've got Passover. We start with Passover, unleavened bread, and first fruits. And then going into May, now down here we have Shavuot. So I go first and I fill in all, isn't it so pretty? I love my planner, you guys. But I take my blank planner to start off with, and I go and I fill in all of the biblical holy days. Not that you have to celebrate these or anything like that, but we fill those in, and then we always, there's so much, Jewish tradition and things like that that go into it, which can be cool to learn about, but we just take scripture. What does it say? When did God say to celebrate this? What did he say to do? Usually it's time off of work, getting together, resting, being with your family, celebrating the Lord. There's so much cool stuff that goes into it, fun meals to be shared, things of that nature. So I mark all of those dates down in my calendar here. And then what I do is I basically sit down with the calendar and I start saying, okay, so if we want to start here, I need to go back and count, if we're doing 4 weeks on, 1 week off, if here's the first feast, let me go back. We'll do school the 4 weeks prior, and then that will give us the week off over this feast. There are a couple ones like here in between this. We do school. We finish up our 8th week of school, and then we take 2 weeks off, one of those weeks being part of Yom Teruah. Guys, I am trying desperately to get this done without a million interruptions, but it doesn't look like it's working that way. But let's just be for real. If y'all came over to the house and we were hanging out, chatting, talking about these things, the kids would interrupt us a million times, right? So it's okay. At least I'm telling myself it's okay. Hopefully it's okay. So I go through, I fill out where do these feasts fall, and then I start kind of blocking out our weeks. So we do 36 weeks of school. We started in July. So I started, 1, 2, 3, 4, take a break. 1, 2, 3, 4, take a break. Cool. We finish up, our 8th week here. Then we're taking 2 weeks off as we kind of prepare for these fall feasts and start by celebrating the Feast of Trumpets there with Yom Teruah. Then we do 2 weeks. We take a week off for Sukkot. So there we're not getting a full 4-week cycle. We're doing 2 weeks, week off, and then we're finishing up with 4 weeks, take a week off, and kind of move through. So what I do is I just lay out when do the feasts fall, where are they at this year, because again, they switch a little bit, all kind of in the same area, but they switch up a little bit. But okay, where are the feasts? Mark those down, and then start fitting in. How can I do 4 weeks on, 1 week off? Like I said, a couple times we take, like, you know, starting off the feast with Yom Teruah, we do 2 weeks off. That's like a big exciting time to go into the fall feast. With Passover, we take a couple weeks off because that's a big exciting time as we go into the spring feast. So we kind of just prepare accordingly for those and taking time off. Some of the feasts are things like Purim, we don't take time off of. Purim we do special things for, but that's part of our week of school. We enjoy doing that. But something like Sukkot, we're going to take all of that time off, and that's a very special time of celebration and doing things together. So it kind of just depends where it falls and where it's at, and then we just base our weeks off of that. And of course, I'm flexible. If we ever get to a point and it's like, let's go ahead and we'll do this week and take that week off, or kind of move around a little bit, we can do that as well. That's one of the many joys of homeschool, is being able to adjust and move accordingly. But I think if you are wanting, or your family does celebrate the biblical holy days, and you're wanting to kind of switch your schedule maybe from that like traditional schedule to be something that's a little more fitting for when you don't, you know, when you don't celebrate the man-made holidays, it really is a goof to have your stuff still on that routine. So that way, that allows you a little more time off in the fall and the spring. For us, we live in Western North Carolina. The weather is the best in the fall and the spring, so it works out perfect, right? In God's perfect timing, that when the weather is the nicest, that's when we take the most time off. We get to enjoy and be outside, do things like that. And then when the weather is, you know, really hot or really cold with summer and winter, we're inside and we're getting more school stuff done. So that way we can kind of move stuff around to what is the best for us. But if you're looking to do that, I would highly recommend just sitting down with your calendar or whatever it is that you're planning off of. Mark down the dates of the biblical feasts this year, so that you kind of have an idea of when you want those times to be off, and then just start breaking out your kind of chunks of school focused time based off of that. One thing that I've always learned is I need at least a couple days prior to the feast for me to be able to get everything like prepared and ready for the time off. So kind of like, I guess, when we were kids in school, how leading up to Christmas break, you really weren't doing much of anything. We make sure that we're kind of wrapping up those weeks and I'm getting stuff done and giving myself a little bit of time to prepare going into whatever group of feasts we're getting ready to go into. And you're now just running through the house. So that's the first question. That is how I plan with the biblical holy days. Hopefully that answered your question. If you were one of the people that asked any of these questions and I don't completely answer your question, just reach out and let me know if you need more detail. It's also really hard to think when you've got kids running everywhere. So that's how I plan it out. I write in all of the dates, and I go around and kind of block out when I know we don't want to be doing school, and then fill in our dates off after that. I also will add that if you look in my calendar, I have on every Monday, I have it written which week of school we're in, and then the 0 with the line through it if we're off that week. So that helps me to kind of see, like, okay, I've put in the holy days that we celebrate, and then I've marked it week of school we're in, and if it's an off week, just to help me kind of keep that in line. So hopefully that makes sense. So moving on to the next question, I want to share about how exactly we're doing the lessons. Hold on. How exactly we're doing the lessons using Under the Home and Mom Delights. Hold, please.
I am happy with myself.
You explaining it to everyone? It all has to do with that there? The paper's in the book. Good job. Thank you. Alrighty, so for reading and writing for my 4th grader, you could use this for many other grades. This is just what we're doing for Lily, who's in 4th grade. We are using Under the Home for their McGuffey readers, and then Mom Delight with her lesson book to do the reading and writing lessons each day. So I will had some screenshots and stuff to share with you guys, but what we're doing is we go over to Under the Home. Under the Home is a great resource. They are not Christian based, but they're not like it's not a religious specific, type curriculum. But what they've done is they've taken a lot of this kind of like classical literature and put it all together and put lessons together. It is a great resource. We stay very minimal and simple, so for us it would be overwhelming to try to do all of it, but at the same time we love it so much. Last year we tried a few times to do all of it because it is so cool and there's so much on there. It's really great. It's so easy to navigate. Everything's put together there. They've really done a great job there at Under the Home. I think this got moved. That's why it's kind of dark in here. There we go. So it is a really cool resource, especially if you're looking, you want a little bit more. It is such a great resource, but we use Under the Home with their readers and then the lesson book from Mom Delight to do the writing portion. So what we do is every day, and I have this marked in my Homeschool Adventures planner that I got from Airy Berry Creates. I have this great little tab here with a lesson tracker. So I'm able to track down easily which lesson we're on. Like for Lily, she started in the middle of one of the things there on Under the Home. So every day I'm able to just write down which McGuffey lesson that she is doing on there. So every day we pull up whatever said lesson is that she needs to do. We pull that up on Under the Home and she reads the lesson. Now, Lily is a very strong reader, speller, writer in general. But if you have a child who's struggling a little bit more, that would be a great way to sit down and read along with them or whatever you need to do. But Lily goes ahead. She reads the lesson on Under the Home based off of the McGuffey readers. If we had copies of the McGuffey readers, we could, just use the book instead of that. But if you don't have that and you want a way to be able to access the McGuffey readers, it's a great way to do so. So she reads through the lesson, usually first there's words up at the top, like special words to kind of work on through that. She reads all of the words first. We usually do that part together. So that way if there's any word that she doesn't understand what it means or how to pronounce it or whatever it is, there are some words that come up that she's like, what is that? I don't even know what that is. So we read through the words together and then she will read the story that's on there. Again, if your kid is struggling, you could read along with them. She's a strong reader. She reads it herself. And then for the writing portion of it, we use this from Mom Delight. You can go to Mom Delight's website and get a PDF with these kind of pre-made pages that you can just print out yourself. To get this printed and bound book was under $8 on Amazon. So for me, honestly, it was just easier than having to print out more stuff and put it together. I just went ahead and ordered this. So every day after she has read her thing, she's on level 1. I went ahead and did this one for her. There are 4 or 5 different levels of these sheets on Mom Delight. And basically the difference in those is just how the pages are formatted and set up. Let me go grab the other one. So we have level 4 and level 1 of the books, mainly because I kind of looked through, you can look through the different pages on Mom Delight's, the PDF of all the different lesson book kind of notebooking sheets and see which ones you want if you're going to order off of Amazon. And I'll link everything that we use, I have in my Amazon store. So if you guys want to be able to go and like access all of these things, it is all there to easily be able to click and get to. Lily, we really wanted to work on her penmanship. So for hers, like she has 2 pages of these words where everything is broken down here with the things, again, because penmanship is a big one that we're trying to work on right now. So this gives her all of these words that she can practice through. There's space to write them 2 times each, or if you want to write them to show the proper placement of the letters and then they can copy underneath. And then there's the spot to draw a picture of each item, again, as we're getting the comprehension part of these different vocabulary words down. So every day, the words that are listed on Under the Home, when you first start in, she writes those words up here. Sometimes it doesn't fill up the complete thing, so she adds her own words. Sometimes there's a few too many, so a couple don't go on, so she just doesn't write the ones she knows how to spell. But she will go ahead and fill in these with the different words, draw pictures of each. She will also have a spot here for copy work. So I will usually have her on under the home. There's, you know, all the sentences have, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on listed next to them. So I will have her, I'll usually say, hey, 2, 3, 4, however many sentences, go ahead and copy those down here. Make sure to be aware of punctuation, capitals, spaces, all of those things. So she will go ahead and copyright out a passage here. Of course, there's some room on the bottom to doodle if you want to draw a picture based off of, you know, whatever it was as well, which I love that. Kids love to doodle. And then the last part we do is a dictation passage. And then there's a narrative drawing down here where they can draw a picture of whatever it was that the story was based off of. And yes, you can use Mom Delights with pretty much any reading that exists under the sun. We just happen to use the McGuffey readers with Under the Home. For her dictation passage, I will either dictate to her a sentence, usually one that she already did the copywriting on, or I will just give her like a spelling test. She loves spelling tests. She loves me quizzing her on all of these different words that she just did. So we will do one or the other there here for her dictation passage. And this is what she does every single day, Monday through Thursday. Fridays, we have a Bible activity that we do with my Heavenly Minded Homeschool Bible curriculum. But other than that, Fridays I leave open for any catch-up, any makeup, or just open-ended child-led learning, letting them do whatever it is that they're interested to do. So Friday we don't have a set thing, but Monday through Thursday, I have my lesson tracker here from my Homeschool Adventures Planner to see which lesson we're on. We go to Under the Home. She reads that lesson in the McGuffey reader, and then she takes her lesson book here and completes the 4 pages with her words, copy work, and dictation. So like here's all of her different words that she wrote in. I have a little bit of reminder of trying to help. You know, we're trying to get these lines and stuff right. She draws a picture of whatever it is, and then we usually go over them to see how she explains them. That's a great way for me to see what she's comprehending from these things. She does some copywriting there, and then she either will have sentences that I dictate to her or just words that I dictate to her, and then she can draw a picture of whatever it was that happened in the story as well. So that is how we do that. I will show you with my son. We're adjusting his a little bit because he's going to start doing Mom Delights has a Middle Ages curriculum, and he is all about the Middle Ages. I will do a video of that here shortly when he gets going. But we had started with him. He has level 4 of the lesson book here. And we would read a classical story, which I linked on my blog with what we were doing. That gives him space here, right? He's older, so this gives him space here to write out words. I would have him just go through whatever we were reading, the classical story, and write words that he is pretty sure he doesn't know how to spell. So he would write out whatever those words were and then use them in sentences. So he has space here for 5 different sentences that he could write out. Then I would give him a set passage for copy work. Make any adjustments, do anything he needs to do, but he would do that. And there's room down here to add some doodles if you'd like to doodle a little something. And then I would dictate however much to him, any words he got wrong, or if he needed to rewrite the whole thing, it has space down here that he could write that. Again, there's room to draw stuff if you want to draw stuff. And then at the end of the week, he would do a narration. So he would rewrite the story in his own words at the end of the week. So that's the one for the older kiddos. You could do that with the McGuffey readers. If you wanted to do that, we just pulled up like classical stories and we're doing it off of that because he will be using this with his Middle Ages. So every week he'll be reading through different books based off of the Middle Ages. And then he will again do practicing different words, using them in sentences, doing some copywriting out of that. Having a dictation passage, and then narrating the story in his own words. So that's the the difference between anyways level 4 and level 1, because these are the two that we have. I'm sure Lily probably later in the year I'll go ahead, because this isn't going to be enough for the entire school year. She does 4 pages every day because she loves writing. So I'll probably get her level 2 next, just because we wanted to work on her penmanship. I wanted her to have kind of the gridded out lines here, just so she could work on that a little bit more. So hopefully that makes sense for how we're using Under the Home with Mom Delights. Again, if I'm not answering all of the details that you need, let me know so I make sure to do that. The next is going to be how we use Hamilton's Essentials of Arithmetic. There's a little bit to explain here, so let me try to do it justice. So Hamilton's Essentials of Arithmetic, it's kind of like Ray's Arithmetic. If some of you are familiar with that, that's what Under the Home uses. We had tried using Ray's Arithmetic, but there are just a few things that, I don't know. I like it a lot, but there are a few things that just weren't working for us. Dog's getting comfy, excuse him. So when I found this Hamilton Essentials of Arithmetic, which I found through Mom Delights, I fell in love. I will link it down below. There is a way that you can go. Google Books has these PDFs that you can get for all of the different books and access them if you want to be able just to pull it up on a tablet or phone or print them out yourself or whatever. But I also got on like eBay or Amazon used books to find the vintage copies for myself. I love my copies. They are so awesome. I just love old books anyways. There's littered all over my house because I love old books. There are a couple tricks here, so let me try to explain this for you guys. These books are from the early 1900s. They went through a few different reprints though, and in each of the reprints it's like they adjusted just a couple things to make it like not work across the board. We found this out because I started using them, then a friend of mine started using them, and then my mom, who's working with me and my friend, our oldest kiddos, my mom tried to order books so that way they would all have the same book, and like we all thought we ordered the same thing and yet got slightly different ones, and it all depends on the year that that book was published. So we've got here copyright 1919, 1920, and 1927. So a couple of these you have to go through and you have to see, okay, well, which copy did I get? There's also a couple differences because Hamilton started off with his work for the New Jersey school district. And so there's some editions as well that are just the New Jersey editions. So there's a few little differences. The cool thing is you can get on, like I said, to the Google Books, to the PDFs that they have up there in the public domain and access like all of the different ones. It's just if you're trying to purchase then copies to be like that, that sometimes you can get a little goofed up and it can be a little difficult. So like for us here, we have this one that's higher grades, and then we have this one that is the second book. So it's like they started off with having lower grades, middle grades, and higher grades. I've been trying to get a printed copy of lower grades and have not been successful in getting one, so I just had to print those out to use with the girls. But lower grades, middle grades, and higher grades, but then they also have like first book and second book. So essentially, the first book covers, let's see, covers like up through 5th grade. So Hamilton's Essentials first book covers up through like 5th grade, and then second book covers 6th through 8th grade. So each chapter represents 1/2 year's work. So here you've got the different chapters, which are a half of a year's worth of work. So you get a few years worth of work essentially in this one book. Is that making sense? So you can go to the PDFs and you can pull them up and kind of look around and see what it is that you're looking for. Here at the beginning of all of these, like this one, this is higher, so lower, middle, and higher. This covers the work that's usually taught in the 7th and 8th grade years. So higher grades is smaller than second book, and it's because it covers 7th and 8th grade math in here. So it is a little tricky to kind of catch up with these, I was finding, especially when you're getting the printed copies as well and finding the things that line up with Hamilton's Essentials. but it's worth it. I think it's totally worth it. The first time I got my books and I started going through and reading what was included in the different chapters, I was just blown away. Things are done a lot differently than how we see math done today as far as how it's laid out. So what we have found, like with our son, we're going through and we are doing second book, which technically is a much lower level. But the information that is taught in here, I find is so much richer that it totally works and makes sense. And although some of it's really simple and it's stuff that he totally knows, these books really focus on understanding number sense, how to work with numbers. I mean, in your head quickly. I mean, just the efficiency of things is just, it's next level. It's unlike, I think, a lot of the things that we have here today. So some of the stuff, well, it might be simple in nature. I still have him do it because we're going through and we're making sure we're really understanding how to work with these numbers and do these different things. And then all of those principles build up as we get into a lot of these other things. Percentages, customs and duties, everyday use of numbers, right? You've got like recipes and how much this stuff costs and how you're going to budget and put it all together. The things that this covers, writing out checks, balancing your checkbooks, working with, you know, area and volume and building and so many different, I mean, look at this, planning out building a house. They have so many cool, like, real life practical application things in here. I love it. So we do usually about a lesson a day working through this. Like I said, yes, it technically has lower grade than what he's in, but we're going through and I'm making sure that the stuff that he already knows and is covered, we're like really firm foundation on that. And then that's helping us as we build into all of these different really cool principles and things like that. So you can look through the PDFs and see which one is best for you. Just know that if you start ordering the books, they might be slightly different than what you find in the PDF because it depends on which publication year you're getting. If it's 1919, 1920, 21, 27, whatever it is, because there are slight differences. Again, it's not that it's a totally different book. It's just that they like, some things are moved around, some things there's more of one thing and not of another thing. There's just differences. And then knowing that either try to do all like first book, second book, or do lower grades, middle grades, higher grades, because like half of what's in this book is pretty much the information that's in this book. It can be a little funky, but I would stick with either lower, middle, higher grades version of it or first and second book version of it. And then each one holds 2 to 3 years or so worth of math work in them. Does that make sense? Hopefully that answers your questions with Hamilton's Essentials. I love them, you guys. There's just so much cool stuff. We do adjust, obviously, when it gets to some like the math figures and stuff like that. They're talking like, hey, if your grocery budget is 50 cents, you know, and it's like, okay, we're going to say $50 instead. So we just kind of like round it up to be whatever, and that helps it make a little more sense. But other than that, all the information in here is very, very timeless. One cool little thing that I found in one of these, it has a math problem based off of the currency rate in Germany. And it says, after the World War, and I just thought that was kind of one of those neat little tidbits. It's like, wow, can you imagine this was written in a time when there was only the one World War? Alrighty, the last thing I have to share with you guys is the Prairie Primer. I won't go into a ton of detail with this just because I have a lot more to share on this in days to come. So the Prairie Primer is super duper cool. It was written by a mom with kiddos who also love the Little House on the Prairie series in the early 90s, and she put all of this together. You guys, there is so much in this book. It is written out to be a year's worth of curriculum. We found there to be so much in each day that we can break this down and use this for 4 years. So I found this used on Amazon and eBay. I bought one off of Amazon and one off of eBay because I got one for a friend too. And I paid about 40 bucks. Again though, if I can use 40 bucks if you're going to use this for a whole year is an amazing deal. If you're going to use it for 4 years, even better. So I got this Prairie Primer. Again, it's in great shape. I got it used and it works out well. I had somebody add in a comment that I think christianbook.com, they have them on there as well for like 40 bucks. So it's a really cool thing, all put together, spiral bound, ready to go. I will be doing a lot more detailed in this, but basically what it is it goes through all of the different books in the Little House on the Prairie series, and with each of them it gives kind of the parents some kind of information and stuff beforehand, before going into it, of things that you kind of want to just have put together or understood or whatever. And then it has everything that you're going to need to gather for the lessons that week if you're going to do the different activities. And then for each book, it's broken down with 4 days a week, chapters to read, discussion questions, and then activities covering all different subjects based off of whatever the information was in that chapter. This is where I'm saying, like for this, day 1 is 1 chapter with these questions, and then activity, 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 activity. So what we're saying is, wow, I don't want to rush through any of this. Day 1 is going to be week 1 for us, and we're going to work on all of these things because there's so much really, really, really cool stuff in here. And it goes throughout the entire series with this. So we're breaking it down that way, but here you've got like your chapter with your questions, and then there's like literature, science, writing, vocabulary, living, Bible, art, manners, Bible, psychology. You know, you have all of these different things based off of this. So this has been really, really cool. So for those of you that are interested in the Prairie Primer, yes, it is super duper neat. There's so much included in here. You're going to work through all of your different subjects just by living, just by going through the stuff. They say it's grades 3 through 6, but honestly you could extend or lower that as needed to fit what's best for you and your family. I'm doing it mainly with my girls because Travis is going to be busy doing the Middle Ages stuff, but at the same time he's doing some of it with us as well. So it also goes through here at the beginning, and it does have kind of that scope and sequence where it shows you all of the different things that you are going to be covering throughout this entire unit, even back here as well. So it covers all kinds of different things: history, biography, government, social studies, literature, language arts, a bunch of different living activities, Bible concepts, Bible memory, crafts, health, building characters, science, animal kingdom, and human body. There's literally some of everything. So it's a really cool unit study here, all in that with the Prairie Primer. Like I said, I'm going to do a lot more about this, so if you have specific questions about it, be sure to ask them so I can make sure to answer them. The other thing that I am sharing, I shared a little sneak peek on Instagram the other day, but in the first week here, it has you doing it says to get a manners study, a manners and like etiquette book and study to work through for the first bit. I could not find anything that I liked for my kids, but doing some type of like biblically based manners and etiquette lessons for my kids is something I've really been wanting to do for a while now and just hadn't quite gotten to yet. So I am making up my own PDF study lesson on manners and etiquette. So I don't have it quite finished yet. I'm getting it made for my kiddos, and of course, there's a little sneak peek here. Of course, I will be making it available to you all as well and sharing more on that. So just a little sneak peek for you all here that I am working on that, putting that together. That will be coming out here soon. Obviously, we'll be using it with the Prairie Primer, but you can use it standalone by itself. It does not have to be in conjunction with this. So that is just a tiny little taste of the Prairie Primer there, and then letting you guys know about the Manners and Etiquette PDF that will be coming out here soon. But otherwise, hopefully this video, once I get it all put together, wasn't too terribly long and rambly. Hopefully it answered some of your questions. Again, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I am happy to answer them. If you ask me a question and I didn't completely answer it here today, maybe because I get interrupted every 2 minutes, let me know in the comments and I will be sure to do a better job at answering that for you. But otherwise, here coming up soon, I'm going to show you guys a little bit more in detail what we're doing with our kiddos for each of the grade levels. Just again, if you have a younger child kind of in the middle or older, kind of give you an idea. If you are looking for some additional ideas and stuff, I'll dive into that with what we're doing with our kiddos. I have more I'll be sharing with you guys with the Prairie Primer and the Manners and Etiquette curriculum that I'm putting together. And and then just some general stuff as well. So any questions, anything you guys would like to see, please reach out and let me know how best we can serve you by way of just sharing and encouraging in any way that the Lord will allow us to. Otherwise, I'm going to go and finish up. The girls have done all their independent stuff, so it's Prairie Primer time in our house, so we're excited to go and get that done. And be sure to subscribe, come back, see what else we have going on. I'm looking forward to hearing your guys' comments and questions that you may have, and we will see you all next time. Bye, guys.